I had it for years. Microsoft Pages. And it was such a pain. That at the end of it, it was like I'm getting old. Because the other ones, they just stopped. They like froze and wouldn't work.
And after discussing the obligatory things that a journalist needs to discuss with the president about domestic affairs and foreign affairs, it seemed that Mr. Reagan constantly wanted to be talking about Hollywood and the stars he'd worked with, the producers he'd worked for, the writers he'd known. And so toward the end of our conversation, I said, Mr. President, do you ever miss acting? And with that famous Reagan grin and a twinkle in his eye, he said, my boy, this is the greatest role I've ever played. Our first guest this evening is Susan Butler. Her very first book was an extremely successful book. I think I'm right about that. It was your first book, wasn't it? A biography of Amelia Earhart. The book about Amelia Earhart, East to the Dawn, provides the most comprehensive account to date of Amelia Earhart's extraordinary life and adventure. It was an alternate Book of the Month Club selection. When it came out in hardcover in 1997, it was published in paperback in 1999. It's also on audio tape. A pilot?
No, I'm not. I'm a sailor, but I'm not a pilot.
And yet you had this incredible interest in aviation, part of it genetic, I suppose, and environmental, handed down by your mother and your grandmother, both of whom loved airplanes. How did you get started as a writer?
Well, from the time I was a child, I always wanted to be a writer. Some people are sort of lucky when they're young, they know what they want to do. But I was a journalist, and my goal in writing a biography was to put a woman, an American woman, on a pedestal that I thought that she had not yet achieved. In other words, I picked Earhart because I thought she was so fabulous and she was underappreciated at that time.
Well, most of us, I think, know generally the story of Amelia Earhart, but I'm assuming that in writing a biography like this, you had to do a considerable amount of research.
Yes, it actually, on and off, it took me 10 years of digging. Well, I would say 8 years of digging and 2 years of writing to finish the biography. And I found a lot of news sources, and I had a wonderful time because it was like living with this extraordinarily interesting, fabulous personality.
Did you do all the research yourself? Did you have a staff to assist?
I did it all myself.
A lot of it on the internet, I suppose, these days?
This was pre-internet.
Oh, pre-internet. Oh, yes, I remember those days.
It's hard to believe.
How long did it take to write the book from the concept, from when you first got the idea that you wanted to do a book about Amelia, till the time it was published?
8 years. It took me 8 years. I have to admit, I was not working full-time on it, but it did take me 8 years. And I found new original sources along the way. And in the 8th year, actually, I found one of the most crucial sources of all, which was the lost biography that Gordon Dahl had told me about.